voice every day to the world and to your heart. Open up your eyes and let your spirit start. Say yes to the dreams you hold inside. Let your soul be your guide.
In today's complex mortgage world, finding the right direction can be challenging. That's where Lighthouse Advisors comes in. With over 25 years of experience, we provide fractional leadership and executive oversight, guiding companies through transitions, growth, and innovation. From IMBs to brokers to credit unions to tech firms, our team of seasoned professionals is here to shine a light on solutions, ensuring your business thrives in every environment. At Lighthouse Advisors, we don't just guide, we empower. Together, let's create a ripple of success across the industry. Email us today at laura@lighthouseadvisors.com. Thank you for joining us today for another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. Today, we are in for a very special treat because we are joined by the amazing Darren Copeland. He is the founder, the president, and the CEO of Summit Lending. Darren, thank you so much for joining us today. It is always a pleasure anytime I get to spend some time with you. And on Wednesday Wisdom, what we like to do is kind of go into the past, apply it to the current, and then go into our advice for the future. So, first question, what would you say is one of the best pieces of advice or something you learned from somewhere or through your life that you have now applied to the way you do business or even in a personal situation? What was one of those best pieces of advice?
Laura, what is happening? Thank you so much for having me on the show here. Man, it's just so cool hanging out with you. I love chatting with you, and you're always doing a great job lifting others up in the mortgage business. So, yeah, it's funny. After being in the business for 20 years, you have all these stories, right? You have all these memories that are going on in your head. And so I like to tell people this. One of the best things that I ever did in my career almost 20 years ago is I immediately invested in myself and I got into a coaching group. Okay. I got into a mastermind group and because I knew being a former athlete that everyone needs coaching, right? No matter what level you're at. I'm from Kansas City, so obviously we're huge Chiefs fans. So even the one and only Patrick Mahomes has a quarterbacks coach, right? So everyone, depending on what level you're at, there's always someone that you can learn from, right? And you want to seek out that mentor. So, and I know he wouldn't mind me dropping his name, but way back in the day, my first mentor in the business, his name was Brian Sachs. He was out of Maryland and he was doing several events and I would go to him and it was I look back now and I was like, oh, those events, those are really, at that time, it was a sales funnel, right? You had like speakers up there and then, oh, by the way, let's pare them down. And now we have a VIP coaching group, right? So get this, it's a lot of money today, but almost 20 years ago, Laura, I was paying $1,500 a month for coaching.
Wow,
right?
20 years ago. That's 20, a lot of money. Yeah, right? we might have to look that up.
Yeah. I mean, what would that be? It'd be like over $3,000 or whatever that is today. So one of the things, because you're asking me, what did I take from the past, is I remember I was having a conversation with Brian, and I love him for this. He was brutally honest. He was not there to try to string you along and do coaching forever. And I remember him saying, hey, DC, this is after several calls, and maybe I wasn't quite doing my homework like I was supposed to, right? It's kind of like I was back in high school or college or something, because that's just what I did. So it was a few calls in. He's like, hey, DC, and I can't say the word on air here. He goes, unless you have an effing plan in place, you're never going to make it in this business. Wow. And I was like, oh, right in the heart, right? I was like, hey, Brian, man, like, dude, I'm paying you a lot of money, man. And he's like, hey, do you want me to be honest with you and be your mentor? He goes, you have to have a freaking plan in place or you're never going to make it. And those words have stuck with me for 2 decades now. And that's one of the things that I try to help folks with is really to have a plan. Because I know your next question covers, you're probably
Yeah,
going to ask like
don't
maybe
jump
some of the
ahead.
things that we do for
Don't
some
jump
of our
ahead.
outcomes.
Let's
So
go right there.
I don't want to jump. I don't want to jump ahead, but the biggest thing, starting out from the beginning was
Yeah.
investing in myself, getting into coaching, because I knew that if I could just get one more deal every single month, that coaching would pay for itself. And it was literally the best thing I ever did to jumpstart my career.
So a couple of questions about that. Okay.
Yes.
So number one about the coaching, and I love what you said in regards to you were an athlete. So you knew that all athletes need that coaching, right? So that's step one. That where I'm going with that is I think sometimes people have to start with being coachable.
Oh,
So I want
100%.
your thoughts on how do you open yourself up to be coachable? Because sometimes people think that a coach comes in with some magic wand that can
Right.
kind of say, I'm going to bop you on the head and you're going to have
Right.
all the answers and your money's going to flow from the sky and you're going to be
Right.
happy all of a sudden. It doesn't quite work that way. So please give your thoughts on how do you get into the mindset of being coachable?
That's a great question, because at the end of the day, the person has to want that. They have to want it for themselves, right? We as coaches cannot want it more for them, right? Like we can't just take everything in our head and our drive and our wants and everything that moves us forward. We just can't implant that into the other person. So, that's a huge part of it, because I've been a coach and I'm still a coach in a few of the top coaching groups in the country. And honestly, that can be one of the biggest frustrating parts is you're investing time into these people and you're literally telling them step by step what they need to do, but for whatever reason, they're not doing it. So you just have to have that conversation of like, listen, don't spend your money in coaching unless you're going to be completely open, break down the barriers, and listen to people who have been there and done that, who are going to cut years off your learning curve, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, let's just be honest, not everyone's coachable.
Right.
They're just not, right? But just have some of that self-awareness of, hey, am I going to do what it takes to help my family and my business, right? And take it to the next level and not be stuck in some of these bad habits or maybe some of the mindsets or anything like that. Because man, and I know you agree with this, Laura, there is nothing more satisfying when talking with a loan officer and you see the light bulb go off in their head.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Or, yes, I know I need to get a morning routine. Or, yes, I know I need to have some structure in here and put some barriers with my family and other distractions. So if they can do that and be coachable on that end, dude, it like the world's their oyster. They can literally go out there and accomplish whatever they want to.
I agree. And think about us. Just think about us as a species, right? As humans, think of what ability we have, to continue to adapt, continue to evolve, continue to learn, right? And continue to get better. It's interesting. I was speaking to, a CEO of a national lender last week. We were on a podcast together, and someone asked what his biggest leadership lesson was. And to him, he said, I needed self-awareness. It was me.
Yeah.
He's like, I couldn't lead anyone or do anything for anyone else until I knew myself. And I really thought about that because it's true. It starts with us. So exactly what you just said of understanding that you need a coach. You continually need to learn from others and change and adapt and modify. And so, Darren, now please tell us, you learned that lesson 20 years ago. And just so you know, I Googled it. A $1,500 20 years ago equates to $2,554. So a little over $2,500. So that's a lot of money. So now taking us forward, how has that now applied to where you are 20 years later?
Sure. So some of the things that I learned, way back in the day, so that I implement even to this day, and I just made a list here for you, is one, morning routine, living in your green zone, We like to target like Navy SEALs. So like what I mean by that is, with your morning routine, you should know what you're going to do the first hour of the day before you even wake up, right? Don't give yourself excuses to talk yourself of not going to the gym, not eating right, things like that. So you need to have your morning routine locked and loaded, right? And live in your green zone. That's one of my other favorite sayings is, hey, living in your green zone that's when you time block in the morning that you're doing your green zone or your money making activities, right? That's when you're touching base with your real estate partners, your past clients, networking, social media, anything that you're doing to drive revenue. You need to be living in your green zone because the average LO in America markets about 1 hour a week, like true
Get
marketing.
out.
No, it's true.
Wow.
1 hour a week. So can you imagine if you time block even 2 hours Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday, and you're 10 times the amount of marketing that any other LO that's doing? So living in your green zone is one of the biggest things that I took away. Also, acting like a Navy SEAL. So there's so many other programs out there, Laura, for LOs. So let's just say whether it's MMI or Model Match or Red or anything like that, but make sure that whether you're building, your business with real estate agents, make sure that you're targeting the people who actually are doing business. Right? You're able to go in there, you're able to see who they're working with, you're able to see how many buy sides they have, and you're not hanging out with people who are doing no business, because those are the first people who have all the time in the world to go out there and waste all your time and money, right? So you need to be like a Navy SEAL and be completely dialed in who you're going after. Okay. Again, time blocking is huge for me. Like everything that I have, like my schedule, Laura, is so time blocked and laid out for months in advance. And you have to be just mindful of your time because we all get bombarded with distractions, right? Right. I call it the force of average. Like the force of average, you can just tell it's trying to pull you back in. It's like that bucket of crabs, right? And that one crab's starting to get out, and the other crab they're all pulling and yanking him down. So, and I think that's just part of being in the business for a long time and being a veteran is identifying those times when the force of average is trying to bring you down. So just be really, really mindful. You guys, when it comes to time, you have to control your time or someone else is going to control it for you, right? So it might as well be you, and guard that like no one's business. My wife, God love her, she's amazing. She's even our ops manager. But even every now and then, we just have to have a friendly reminder of time blocking and what we need to do, right? Because distractions can definitely be the enemy on that. And delegating, for those LOs who might be listening to this, man, you guys delegate as much as humanly possible. And I hope no one takes this wrong, but don't wear it like a badge of honor if you can run AUS like no one's business, and you can do all these other details. Your job is to sell, right? So you need to sell. You need to have a loan officer assistant that's helping you, talking to clients, putting deals together, pushing them through processing, under like all your time needs to be focused on making new relationships and keeping your existing ones, right? So make sure that you become a master of delegating so you can just do the highest and best use for your dollar, which is going out there and bringing more business. So I've got more. So do I have time to go through a
I
couple
think they're
more?
great. I think they're phenomenal. Keep going.
Because I'm on fire. Laura, you should feel like really special. I did some homework for you because that's how much I love you. You're awesome. Okay?
Well, we truly appreciate it because these are valuable insights. So I hope everyone is taking notes. Keep going.
Take notes, rewatch this. It's just like, I tell people sometimes, like, I've got all this stuff in my head over 20 years. I just need someone like you, Laura, just to ask those questions, and next thing you know, it's just firing out, right?
Go.
It's
This
going like
is
crazy.
gold. It's gold,
right?
Darren.
All right. So after delegating, mindset, you guys have to be very, very careful what you allow into your mindset. So I'll just kind of tell you some of the things that I do. Honestly, you guys, if it's not on Major League Baseball Network and if it's not on NFL Network, I don't watch TV, and I definitely don't watch the news. I just don't. I don't allow all that stuff all that minutia to come in, right? So just be mindful of your time. When I'm in my car, I don't listen to sports radio. I'm either listening to K-Love, Christian music,
Yep.
or I'm listening to a book, audio book, something like that. I'm always listening to something that I'm going to learn from, or I'm just going to feel better of. Okay. So, which is completely different.
Darren, everything you're saying, now I'm understanding why we're connected, because we're very similar.
Exactly. And you know what? I know it sounds weird, but I don't watch depressing movies. I don't watch depressing movies. I don't watch horror
wait, I
flicks.
have to go somewhere that I didn't expect, but you do realize you're an empath, right?
What are you
know
talking
what
about?
that is? You know what
No,
that
but
is?
if it's cool, I want to be a part of it.
All right. And it's something that I am. I actually know Christine Beckwith is also, because I've had this conversation. An empath is someone that can feel others. So what that means is the reason why you stay away from the news, and the reason why you stay away from depressing movies, and the reason why you feed yourself with positive is that you can actually feel when things are heavy, and it actually affects you. And so what that means is, being an empath is that you take on that feeling onto yourself. And obviously, since it's negative, since it's a negative feeling, you stay away from it. So it's not a good or bad thing. It just is. It's just certain people are more sensitive to that. And you're one, I'm one, Christine Beckwith's one, Carrie Cole is one. I mean, there's a bunch of us that, again, it just means that we can kind of feel the energy, that when things are very negative or heavy, we can feel that. And sometimes we have to offset that with having positive around us in order. And so we balance that with, when we help others, and being in the mortgage business is a fabulous place because we get to help families and we get to help team members. And so that helps us to spread that joy. There you go.
Absolutely. And the mindset's so big. And, I learned that a while back is, you're right. I that stuff brings me down or whatever. So you have to guard all that, because I want to be around positive stuff, because, let's be honest, the mortgage business is a very imperfect business, right? You're battling, battles on different fronts, right? Whether it's underwriters, the clients, or the realtors, we're dealing with humans, right?
We are.
So you just have to...
unique situations. None are the same. Exactly, right? There's all uniqueness to it. Yeah.
Yep. It's unique situations. And one of my favorite sayings is like, with the morning routine, and then also being mindful of your mindset, as I call it, my emotional armor, right?
Yeah.
It's like your armor that you're putting on for the day. So when you're rolling out, those things are just pinging off you like no big deal, right?
Correct.
Because you're just mentally prepped and you're ready to go, right? So, again, it's all about just realizing this stuff, prepping for it, and it's an amazing business. And so the mindset, and so here's one of my favorites. Okay.
Tell me.
And for some of those who might be listening who hear me talk quite a bit, yes, you've heard this before, but I just think it's so critical, because one of my other mentors, going through this great journey of the mortgage business, he taught me this, and it's always stuck with me. So the rule is called 25, 25, 50. Have you ever heard that rule? Okay. So the 25, 25, 50 rule is 25% of the people are going to love you no matter what. 25% of the people are not going to like you. And the other 50% are just indifferent, right? They don't care either way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And he told me, he's like, DC, focus on the 25% of the people who love you, live in that 25%, because they're going to cheer you on no matter what. And that goes with your family, your referral partners, your past clients. Like, not everyone is going to like you out there or jive with you. And it's okay, because 25% is a big enough number. So just hang with those people. Don't worry about trying to convince the 25% of the people that don't like you anyway. Don't try to convince them that, you're cool and all that. You're just wasting your time. And then that other time, the 50% who are indifferent, it really doesn't matter, right?
Correct.
So I think that 25, 25, 50 rule is so huge, because I know when I was younger, I wanted everyone to like me and I tried to please everyone, and you just can't do it,
No.
right? So live in that 25% of those who are your
But
cheerleaders.
really love them, right? When you
Right.
know that those are
Yep.
your people and
Yeah.
you understand who they are, really love them, really connect to them, really give that support back to them, right? Because to your point, once you dive in and connect even more to that 25%, it only will continue to not necessarily grow in number, but grow in
Right.
impact.
Right. Exactly. And it just builds off each other, right?
Correct.
Because those 25%, if they live in their 25%, now you're going to be exposed to even more and
Yes.
more cool people, right? Which is a great segue to, for our motto that we live around
Yes.
here. Laura,
Share.
you know what it is. It's the ABC rule, and it's always be cool, right? Just always be cool no matter what the situation is. Just always integrity, do the right thing. Because there's a lot of crazy going on out there. So I just feel like, when you're honest with people and transparency, it just makes life so much easier, right? And not only that, but as a leader, people see if you truly follow the ABC rules. So like your staff and the crew that we have here at Summit Lending, the I hate this word, but the culture, it's more of like the attitude, the feel, right? Because I think that word is overused.
I think
But
so
man,
too.
if people would come in here, they would really see the amount of care that we have and respect and everyone like that, because everyone just has that same mindset, right? They're all part of that 25% and they'll always be cool. So I knew you were wondering when I was going to slide that in. So
Well,
there
you
go.
had to. I know that that's
There
your
you go.
motto, and I know that's what you follow, and you live it. Even more importantly, you live it. And that's really what it is, right? And it's actually unfortunate that the word culture has become overused, right? But it is so important. I mean, we all know that it's such a valuable and important piece of our organizations and our lives, but you're living it, and you can't force culture, right? People know when something is forced versus it just truly is. Wow. So number one, Darren, all of those amazing tips, absolutely love them. I will tell you, I know you focus a lot in on the time management. If I was going to say, what is the number one thing that people say to me that they struggle with? That's it. Like, I know you focus a lot on that. That really, really, truly is the number one thing that if people just think about being prepared for their next day, having their calendar. I mean, it's funny, you and I, we were supposed to record this a week ago, and the two of us had internet problems, right? But we had this booked out like over a month in advance.
Easy.
Like we had this way in advance, and then we had to reschedule because we had some connection problems. But you have to guard that calendar. You have to really, really look at who's on there, what's on there. Is it in the green zone? Because at the end of the day, we are in business, right? So we do have to look at how much time are we spending in that green zone that ultimately will result in revenue or positive outcome. Now, we all know some of that is just building relationship, right? Part of that is our investment into connection to that 25%, because that 25% a lot of times does equal green zone, right? Because people introduce us to other people or give us opportunities to use our voice and spotlight us and things like that, right? So those are green zone activities. But if we're not organized and able to control our time, well, maybe we miss those opportunities, or maybe we don't develop those relationships. So I do agree with you between the time management and controlling your mindset. Another area, you have to guard it. You honestly, I mean, we live in some really interesting times right now, and it's easy to focus and go down a road that you're consumed. It makes it so you can barely even look away with all the things that are coming at us at this moment, right? So we have to be careful of it.
And I think there's one important aspect of this, Laura, that we need to, convey to the listeners is like, don't think that you're just going to hear this once and magically you're just going to implement. Like, this is years and years of me personally doing and actually coaching it, right? It doesn't happen overnight. However, if you can just take good notes and review them and make sure. It's like the biggest tragedy of if you go to like a really 2-day event and it's amazing and it's killer and you take amazing notes and then you come home for a week or two and you don't review those notes, like that's, this has to be in front of you, nonstop. Because the one thing that also I want to mention, Laura, is
Yeah.
the goal setting that I do and that I coach people on. It's so important for you to do an annual goal, but also 90-day goals that you can go and readjust and and tweak if you need to. Actually, a mutual friend of ours, I'll give some street cred to our friend Cindy Ertman out there.
Yeah.
So Cindy Ertman and I were talking several years ago, and I just love this idea, and I've been doing it for the past 5 years, is at least once every 6 or 8 months, I will literally either go out of town or go somewhere for 24 to 48 hours, get a hotel by myself, and I will revamp my goals that I'm just there. Like no
Yeah.
distractions, investing time in myself to get really clear as far as what I want to do. And it goes through all the aspects. It
Yeah.
goes through spiritual, financial, business, physical, the whole gamut, right? And it takes a while to go through this whole goal setting program. But man, I tell you what, if you guys implement that along with some of the other bullet points that Laura and I have been talking about, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I
It's a game
agree.
changer.
But again, it's a personal investment in
It
yourself.
is. Yeah,
It really
is.
is. And
Yeah.
to your point, it is not, oh, that's it, starting tomorrow, everything changes. It doesn't quite work that way. So I'm glad that
Exactly.
you called that out. You are
Yes.
correct. All right.
Yes.
So Darren, you've given so much insight. We know where you started. We know how you're applying it. Now, what we like to do at the end is we want to hear your piece of advice, something that is from you to our listeners that you would like to share with everyone. What would that be?
And I would like to preface this that I'm not starting my own coaching platform and I'm not trying to sell coaching. Okay. So with that being said, the biggest thing that I want to leave you guys with, because we have already talked about the 25% people that love
Yep.
you and they'll always be cool. But the one thing that I want to leave you guys with is take the money and time and invest in yourself. Believe in yourself. Okay. Don't listen to the naysayers out there and say, oh, that's too expensive, or I don't have the money. You guys, when I got into coaching, I wasn't closing anything. I was brand new to the business, and I had a 0% interest credit card that I was putting $1,500 a month on because I knew that if I got the knowledge that I was going to be able to go out there and implement those strategies and get that one extra deal a month, so that coaching was going to turn from $1,500 a month into free. And we don't even have the time on here, Laura, to talk about all the friends that I've met over the years and all the networking, all the deals that were referred to us here in Missouri and Kansas because maybe they weren't licensed in these particular states. So that's the biggest thing is I've spent huge amounts on coaching you guys, and it's turned out to be free over the years just because of all the friends you make, the deals that you close. So never be scared. Take that leap of faith, invest in yourself. There's so many good coaching groups out there, you guys, but take the time. What Laura alluded to earlier, you have to be coachable, right?
Yeah.
You have to be coachable, or you just might as well just hold on to your money. But hanging around like-minded people, going to different events, hanging out with people who maybe they're a little further down the river than you are but learn from them, right? Learn from them so you can take that back and you can take all these different pieces that you've learned over your coaching career and mold it into your own so you can review it and just live the life that you've imagined, man. Let's go out there and dominate it.
Wow. I love all of that. You said something about going into a quiet area with no distractions and doing your goals.
Yep.
That is completely high level.
Yep.
I will tell you, you are at a stage where you truly are at one with yourself, where you have clarity to be able to do that.
Yep.
So I almost want to let everyone know that is where we all want to be in our lives, regardless of where we are in our careers, in our lives. When you have that sense of clarity to be able to do a 360 on yourself, this isn't just about business. This is your personal life. This is your financial. This is spiritual. This is physical. This is your business. This is everything. Because when you are chasing, when you are just going around and around in a circle and you're kind of chasing of pinging all over, you can't have clarity into having a clear path as to what is my next step. Right. And I love also the 90-day goals. I mean, we're big on, following rocks and having strategic planning on breaking things down into quarters. Right. If you're doing it that way, those are the kind of things. You don't have to be a big corporation to do things like that. You could be an individual broker owner or a loan officer and break yourself into those 90-day goals and then have bigger goals after that. The stuff that Darren just shared with all of you, it's 100% gold. We appreciate you taking the time to share this very, very valuable information and stuff that you've acquired over a long amount of time and you're applying right now in a successful growing business that is continuing to scale and get bigger and bigger. So Darren, we appreciate you coming on here. For everyone out there that's listening, if you don't know Darren, follow him on social media, reach out to Darren. He is not only brilliant as a businessman, he is one of the nicest people that you will ever meet in the mortgage industry. So he is always being cool. So Darren, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for sharing all of your wisdom, or not all of it, some of your wisdom with us.
Right. Thank you so much, Laura. Hey, total blast. Anytime you need me, let me know. But this is a ton of fun. And I hope the listeners out there, I hope you just got one or two things to take back with you. And man, Laura, just thank you again for being so cool and being one of our biggest cheerleaders.
Pleasure. Have a good one.